So today I'm going to continue on from the last presentation where I mentioned approaching things with a little bit of curiosity and asking some questions around what you want to do, who you are, where you want to go, as opposed to setting specific hard goals, because goals are something that are going to change over time based around the questions that you ask yourself ultimately. So when we talk about mental strength and resilience, one of the key factors, or a factor associated with having really good resilience, is approaching things with a curiosity, almost as in terms of having a scientific mind. So you sort of look at life as just one really big experiment where you conduct much smaller experiments, you come up with an idea, you test that idea to see whether it works, whether it doesn't work, and from there you come up with your next idea. So I regularly get asked about how I or why I undergo some of the things that I do. So I've been asked about why I did selection, what motivated me there, what drove me there. I get asked around why I did the 750 kilometre race through the Yukon. I get asked around the multi-day 250 kilometre desert races, why I'm doing the 1,000-mile race in Alaska next year. So for me, none of that has anything to do with setting a goal. So when I did selection for special operations, it had nothing to do with being a special operations soldier on the other side. So my ambition was never to achieve a beret. It was never to achieve the high level, become the best. None of that was important to me. It was more around asking questions. So my questions were around, did I have what it takes? Could I become the type of person that could do it? Was I able to develop the behaviours and the habits that underlie getting there, or being able to perform at that level? And then once I got there, it was around, could I develop the behaviours that were required to be reliable in that environment? Then when combat was, did I have what it took to survive combat? Did I have what was required to thrive in these high risk, high consequence scenarios? Was I able to stand up when it really mattered? So it was more around asking questions about who I was and what I was capable of than to achieve specific goals. And as I move on to the adventure racing, it's more around, can I develop behaviours? Do I have the self-discipline to work at the required rate to get the baseline required to achieve a successful finish over 1,000 miles through the snow? Do I have the mental strength to go through an environment where I'm sleeping out at -30, -40 or lower nearly every night in a frozen wilderness? Do I have the capacity to maintain that level, go through that level of pain every day for 30 days? Am I capable of finishing something that most people wouldn't even start? So for me, it's more around questions of who I am, what am I capable of, and who do I need to become to achieve those results? And it's very similar when I look at other things that are important to me, like parenting, the domestic life, academic life, these sort of things. It's more around questions. I'm answering questions around who I am, what do I want to be, who do I want to become, these sort of things, rather than setting specific goals. So ultimately, what I achieve will be based around the questions that I'm willing to ask myself, not of things that I want to achieve. So one of the good ways to go around developing this as an ability, or start looking at life through more of a curious lens, is to, rather than thinking about what you want to achieve, start asking yourself questions. So just writing down a couple of questions each day about who do you want to be, what's important to you, who do you want to become, okay, what behaviours do you want to develop. Just start asking questions over time, and over time you'll actually refine the type of questions that you're asking, so that you'll be able to understand who you are, what's important to you, and where you want to go. And once you can define these things, then what you want to achieve will completely change, because it's likely most people at the moment are setting goals around achieving things that are going to make other people happy, or they feel they're going to make other people happy. So a lot of people are actually on a path that are based around other people's questions, not their own. So if you want to get on your own path, improve your mental strength, your happiness, your fulfillment, your mental well-being, all these sort of things, then you need to start asking questions so that you can refine the questions that you really want to ask, so that you can draw out who you really want to be and what you really want to do. So I hope that gives you a little bit more of an understanding about how approaching things with a curious mindset, thinking more in terms of almost as a scientific experiment, and then starting to get on your own path that's got importance to you. So I hope that gave you something to think about, and it'll give you something to go on with and start asking some better questions of yourself.